If you're looking for an underrated game in week 9, you're looking at Oregon State and Arizona. Now, Arizona isn't the team that you maybe thought it was, especially with some of the struggles they had early in the year, but it appears that they have their quarterback of the future. They have someone that can lead this offense and has made it more explosive. They're going against an Oregon State team that is a pretty good unit as a whole, and they've had some big wins in the past few games. They beat UCLA in their last game. They also beat Utah. So they have some good wins under their belt. They have a good amount of talent on both sides of the ball, and they will definitely test this Arizona team. I think that there's one aspect of this game that I feel Arizona has an advantage in, but we'll dive more into that later. Let's start with Oregon State. Like I said, Oregon State has some good wins, beating UCLA and Utah can't go unnoticed, especially with how well Utah is playing lately. Oregon State's win over them looks really impressive. And I think that the addition of DJ Uiagalelei has been a great addition for this team. Now, DJ has so far shown that he's a pretty similar version of himself from Clemson, but I think he feels less stressed. There's definitely less pressure on him to make plays. And I think that they've figured out a way to get him more involved in a way that makes him the most efficient, the most effective. He is someone that can be a good runner. He's also someone that is a solid passer. So you're looking at an offense that is balanced because of him. And now Oregon State staff has found ways to get him incorporated in both facets of that game. The rushing attack has more than just him, though. Damian Martinez, Deshaun Fenwick are two great running backs for the Beavers, two of the better running backs in this conference. And that's what's made them really good, averaging nearly 200 yards per game as a unit. And this is an offense that appears to be a more dangerous because DJ is running this offense and they're averaging over 38 points per game. So this is a really fun team to watch. Their defense is also really good, very disruptive, creates a lot of havoc, and that will be a big challenge for Arizona. This is an Arizona team that is playing, I won't say lights out, they're playing really well. Despite the fact that their last games they're 1-2, this is a team that's played Washington and USC really close. They played the Huskies to a 31-24 loss, but they were definitely in it because Noah Fafita has stepped up in a big way. USC, they probably should have gone for two when they had the chance, but they didn't. So there was an opportunity for them to win that game, and they didn't do that. And then they just stomped Washington State. Washington State beat Oregon State earlier in the year. This is a team that we thought was one of the better teams in this conference. And Arizona pretty much just put them to bed. They definitely took care of business. And the defense, I think, is the weaker part of this team, but they are also showing that they can play well at times. I think that they can be disruptive at times. And I think that they're a unit that is very underrated and could be the X factor in this game. The offense obviously wants to throw the ball a lot, and that's obviously thanks to Noah Fafita. But I think that you look at the wide receiver talent they have, and that's really where, to me, this game is so interesting because Oregon State's secondary has some talent. But when you look at where they struggle, it's defending the pass at times. When you look at some of their games that they've struggled, the secondary has been tested. And when you have guys like Jay Cohen and Tedero McMillan, you have two guys that create a ton of mismatches regardless of who they play. Now you face an Oregon State team that doesn't exactly thrive all the time at defending the pass, and you have an Arizona team that is playing at a really high level and playing with a ton of confidence and pretty much are on fire. You're looking at a mismatch that could make this game extremely interesting. Now, the front seven for Oregon State is where this really becomes interesting too, because that's a group that can be disruptive and gives their secondary less time to have to cover. They definitely give them an opportunity to slow down the opposing offense because they are able to get after the quarterback, slow down that passing attack, and that could be a big key here. And or Arizona wants to move the ball down as fast as they can, but can the defense step up? Can the pass defense specifically step up? Can they get to the quarterback, or are they going to rely on cornerbacks that at times have let them down to stop this offense? Because McMillan is an absolute stud who's a big time wide receiver, has a great frame to make life difficult on the defensive backs that he faces. So that's something that Oregon State will be concerned about. Cohen is an absolute monster in the slot or out wide. You name it, wherever he's going to go, he will create mismatches as well. That's really where I think this game comes down to. I think Oregon State will have no problem moving the ball against Arizona's defense, though again, Arizona's defense has played really well at times. And the question for them is really, does the hot streak continue for them? I think that's one of the things to keep an eye on is what does this defense do to slow down Oregon State? Oregon State can be explosive. They definitely have plenty of speed on that offense to get in the end zone, but can Arizona slow them down? Can they handle the long grind? Because Oregon State is more than happy to just be efficient, move the ball down the field, 10 to 12 yard play drives, take time off the clock, but they can also be explosive. And it's on Arizona's defense essentially to keep them in the game and hope that the offense can also do its part. This is a team in Oregon State that is very difficult to beat. And that makes life difficult for a team like Arizona that is kind of riding a hot cold streak. And Noah Fifita kind of embodies that. You look at his last three games, he's played really well. And I think that he plays a big role in this game, but he's going against a quarterback in DJ Uiagalelei that can show him you don't necessarily need to be a hero all the time, but you definitely need to make smart decisions. You need to take care of the football and you need to be efficient with getting your guys the ball with the playmaking talent that Fafita has, I think that he has more downfield threats in McMillan and Cowing than Uiagalelei does. But I think that DJ has shown he can be consistent and he's going to be a factor in the rushing attack, whereas isn't necessarily going to do that. Fafita is also much shorter than DJ is. So that's something to keep an eye on. Will Oregon State be able to get in the passing lanes, bat down some balls, make some deflections? That's the big key for me. Arizona's playing really well. I think that Jed Fish has done an incredible job of getting them back up to where they want to be and playing at a level that is acceptable to them. But Oregon State is a different beast. Yes, they're not playing to the level, maybe to the ceiling that they could, but this is still a very good football team. And this is a team that has made some statements with their wins. They've shown that they can put up points. They've also shown that they can win low scoring affairs. And that tells me that they have the maturity to handle certain situations and certain aspects of games that can be really important. So to me, Oregon State, because of that experience, because of that veteran leadership, that's the reason why they beat Arizona this weekend.